Securing our shared world against devastating attack by conspiracy is the job of leaders, politicians, law enforcement, police and the law courts, and journalism. To secure our shared world model against conspiracy, a conspiracy by devastating attack or conspiracy theory by devastating error is going to take some doing. The main task is calibration tests for conspiracy and conspiracy theory. This is not going well. The first live stream, I blew it, and this one is coming out kind of clunky. The reason is I started out, these are supposed to be notes on conspiracy theory, or they were notes on conspiracy theory, and I realized at the end that you can't really understand what a conspiracy theory is without understanding how it's related to and different from actual conspiracy. This is Retraice number 36. We're going Monday, October 31st, 2022, 11:05 p.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific. Retraice is about what's going on out there. All right. Good thing nobody's watching yet. All right. It's really live, and I blew it on this. It's the first time I've ever blown it going live. Like, we've been going live from the beginning, and anyway, you didn't see it, but I just said the wrong thing, and it was like, shut up. It's all a conspiracy. They're conspiring against me. It's not my fault. Yeah, conspiracy is different from conspiracy theory, and we'll talk about conspiracy theory as the sort of pejorative. It's like, a conspiracy theory is almost culturally, by definition, false. It's something that people think is going on that's not, and then we deride them for it. Okay. We're going to talk about, we're just going to make some observations about conspiracy and conspiracy theory, although this is more about theory today, and see where that takes us. There are three problems. I've just off the bat noticed three problems. Problem number one is there's a consistency. Okay, so conspiracy theories are all, to the outsider who has only access to public information, the evidence in conspiracy theories is this comes from, I should say, the evidence is always consistent with conspiracy, consistent with conspiracy to disinform, and consistent with incompetence. So if I point, just like we go back to the two guys, I've already forgotten their names, from the last segment, I found the quote where the guy said, do you know about MJ-12? And Eric Walker is the real guy, and then what was the investigator's name? I don't know. He supposedly asked him, what do you know about MJ-12? And he said, I know about MJ-12. What do you want to know? You're chasing windmills, whatever the hell that means. He said, well, what do you mean I'm chasing windmills? And Walker says, there's nothing you could do about this. Why get involved in this? Why investigate? Okay, well, that's what they're saying in this book. By publishing a book that says these words, supposedly they're presenting evidence to us. Okay, that evidence, that textual, publicly available information to outsiders, you, me, is consistent with conspiracy. Oh, could really be exactly as it seems. It's also consistent with the opposite of conspiracy, or almost the opposite, conspiracy to disinform. If we wanted people to believe that Eric Walker knew some inside stuff, and there's MJ-12, and there's all this aliens and whatever, we would put out, if we're the disinformers in this scenario, we would put something out like that. Either get that guy on the phone and say these words to him, he's ready to hear them, or you could just put the book out there. You could you could publish the book yourself instead of disinforming someone who then publishes a book. So it's consistent with conspiracy to disinform, and it's also consistent with incompetence. The guy just heard somebody told him the story, and he's so sure it's true that he just publishes it as if he was party to it. That's probably the main incompetent thing going on there. The guy doesn't mean to be disinforming us, but he just doesn't realize how likely it is that someone's disinforming him. Okay, so the consistency with evidence and conspiracy theories is a big problem, because it just, to outsiders. To insiders, it's different. If you know something firsthand, you can evaluate evidence on that basis, and it's just different. It's just different for outsiders. Problem number two is that there are just these big obvious things that are easy to forget about conspiracies or conspiracy theories. The first one is that science is not up to it. Science is not capable of dealing with counterintelligence, especially denial and deception. So if you say, oh, where's the science on the UFOs? Look, if the UFOs or the MJ-12 or the this or the that or whatever underground bases, if that stuff is being done at all by anyone, humans or, non-humans, they are capable of counterintelligence. They're capable of denial, stopping us from getting the crucial information. We'll talk about the price of information here in a minute. Or deception, stopping us from or leading us off the right track because they know what we're open in public if we're the outsiders and we're talking to each other in public on podcasts and in books and stuff. And they know what we're thinking. OSINT, open source intelligence, they know what we're thinking. They know how to just nudge and steer so that we're deceived. So science is not up to it. You can't do science. Science is not ready for the natural phenomenon to be trying to deceive it. You don't send a scientist to investigate Russia during the Cold War or to investigate Russia's nuclear capability during the Cold War. You send agents, intelligence agents, and then or you gather intelligence and then you train analysts who are not scientists. They think rationally and empirically, but they're not scientists. Scientists investigate natural phenomena short of adversarial intelligence. The next obvious thing that we shouldn't forget is that trusting institutions is a vulnerability. So I talked at the top about politicians, police, law courts, and journalists as being our security barriers against attacks on our actual world, not our world model, not what we think about the world, but the world itself. Conspiring attacks against our world. Politicians, police, law courts, and journalists. Well, do we trust them? No. These days in the United States and in a lot of the Western world, and it's probably worse in most of the non-Western world for good reason, there's no trust there, or there's not enough, nowhere near enough. But we don't know why exactly that would be. It might be that there's actual reason to not trust. They've given as institutions or as the people who accrue to those institutions, we've had too many confirmed experiences of untrustworthy behavior, or there could be a conspiracy to attack our world model. We might be undoubtedly both are happening. The question is, what do you do about it? The last thing is, we talked about denial and deception, but deception itself is profound. Go back to Retraice number 1, Re1, Cynthia Grabo, I don't know how to pronounce it, intelligence analyst. She wrote a monograph on anticipating surprise. She says this: confidence in our judgment of the adversary's intentions fades as one contemplates the chilling prospect of deception. There is no single facet of the warning problem so unpredictable and yet so potentially damaging in its effects as deception. The most brilliant analysis may founder in the face of deception, and the most expert and experienced among us on occasion may be as vulnerable as the novice. So even the intelligence analysts recognize not just that deception is a problem, but it is a profound problem. Page 119, she does a whole chapter on it. Okay, so that's the obvious stuff. Problem number 2 was, don't forget the obvious. Problem number 1 is that there's a lot of stuff that's consistent with a conspiracy theory, and that and often the evidence is ambiguous in that way. Problem number 3 is trying to explain the neglect. If others, not the person who's focused on the conspiracy or conspiracy theory, if others who should be focused on it, either the people securing us against actual conspiracy against the world, like politicians, police, law courts, and journalists, or anyone else who might pick up on either attacks on the world or attacks on our world model, if no one else is obviously working on this, you got to ask why. Why the neglect? Well, first, they might not think it's plausible. They're guessing that it's either nothing or that it's something benign, that whatever thing that led you to think that there might be something there, the vast majority of people are saying no. Another one is conformity. They might just be in a herd mentality. Not, we're not going to investigate conspiracy because none of my buddies are doing it, and then that sort of cascades into a bigger and bigger problem. There might be fear and complicity. You might be afraid of what's going to happen if you look into it, or you might be in on it yourself. And then finally, the price of information can be high. It's not all information is equally valuable, and to look into it is to pursue the expensive information. And this big group of people who are not thinking the way you are might not be interested in paying such a high price. They might not think it's worth the price. It's a marketplace, right? The information is in a marketplace. Oh yeah, maybe there's a conspiracy there, but I got to give up 2-3 years of my life to find out about it, blah, blah, blah. It reminds me of John Gatto's research, especially the underground history of American education, and to some extent Noam Chomsky as well. All these things, the consistency of evidence being consistent with both conspiracy and the conspiracy to disinform and incompetence, and then, the obviousness problem that science isn't up to counterintelligence, trusting institutions is a vulnerability, and deception is a profoundly difficult problem. Reminds me of those two, John Gatto and Noam Chomsky. Okay, so those are the first 3 problems I've noticed or that come to mind for conspiracy. What to do about them? Got some notes on that. We'll do that next time. Maybe we'll find some more problems between now and then. It'll be same time tomorrow. Amendments and corrections. Retraice 32. I talked about BIM, in the context of artificial intelligence. It stands for Building Information Modeling, and it really does mean building as in structure. I read it as building. I don't remember if I got onto it on mic, but I gave up trying to find the acronym. It is a pretty obscure acronym, but this comes from Autodesk, which is a modeling company. BIM, Building Information Modeling, is the holistic process of creating and managing information for a built asset based on an intelligent model and enabled by a cloud platform. BIM integrates structured, multidisciplinary data to produce a digital representation of an asset across its life cycle, from planning and design to construction and operations. That's Autodesk. So if you go back to that story that was about the coming tsunami, the coming AI tsunami, it was an AEC mag, which I'd never really heard of, but this is their shtick, not shtick. This is their wheelhouse, and so they're worried about AI, or not worried about it, just anticipating a big effect on building information modeling workflows. Okay. References will be in the show notes, full PDF notes at retraice.com, retraice.com. This is Retraice 36. Back again tomorrow, same time, 11 p.m. No screw ups at the top. This is so stupid. I've never screwed up, and then I don't know. It happened. But you can't do that. You can't screw up and start over when you're live, even though I just did it because I know no one's watching yet, but people will be watching. I've got all zeros. But it won't always be 0. And that's what I'm preparing for. Oh, it's ridiculous. Okay. Signing off.